In this video, we're looking at actually our last problem for the class. So I hope you have fun with this comprehensive problem for chapter 13. This is problem 1319, where we have a company that produces and sells soccer balls. So the first thing we want to do is we want to fill in the blanks here, the missing values here on your income statement for 2015 and 2016. So to speed this up a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to so what you want to do is transfer all these numbers right here down to here, and then I've got the formulas put in right here that's going to calculate your missing values. So to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to go, let's see, I'm just going to go back up here and just copy all this and put it in the one we're working on over here so we don't have to do it. It takes so long. Now once we've done that, you can see that fills in our missing values in our income statement. And if you want to look at this, you can just see the formulas that I've put in here, right up there. See at the top right there, to actually calculate your earned income before interest and taxes, and then your earned income before taxes. And then I've calculated your income, taxes, and your net income right here. Okay, now, since you've done that, it actually does most of the problem is pretty much, or a lot of it is done, because I put the formulas in that fills all this in for you, and you can see that the break-even point in the units are the same for 2015 and 2016. And you might ask, how are they the same if the numbers are? Well, if we look back up here, I guess right here, you can see that yes, they're different, but they changed sort of in the same ratio, because sales went up, but also cost, variable cost went up. So because they changed in the same ratio, we actually have the same break-even point for both years. And once again, make sure you put your type in your answers in these gray boxes here after each one. So we did part A, we did part B right here. Now we need to do part C. So the break-even point in the dollars. So that would be just simply the units times, let's see, it's C28, which should be the price, right? Let's go back up here. The price, which is way up here, yeah, right here, right? So that's just simply the break-even point in dollars is just simply the units sold times the price. And since the price didn't change from 2015 to 2016, that's also going to be the same. Okay, so now we're going to look at how many soccer balls need to be sold to have an operating income of 200,000 in 2015. So we're going to calculate. We're going to put in our fixed cost here, and then our dollars needed here in order to cover our fixed cost. And then we're going to put in actually our operating profit, right, what am I thinking? This has got to go in right here. 200,000 has to go in here, because this is our operating profit requirement. And now we see that the important thing here is this idea of the contribution margin for each ball. And that's simply, if we look at that, that is, go back up here, that is the price, which is 2015 up here, where did it go? Way up here somewhere. Yeah, right here, minus the variable cost per ball right there, right? So, and that we got that by just looking at the total number of balls sold and divided that into the variable cost, or the variable, the variable cost divided by the total sold, and that's going to give us our variable cost per ball, and then that subtracted from the price is going to give us our contribution margin right here, and that's how we figured out that in order to have an operating a profit of 200,000, we needed to sell 39,375 balls. Okay, so this is not the break-even point. This is the point way above it, right? This is the point where you actually have a pretty good profit, right? Okay. Now, the next thing we have to say is what would be the profit or loss if the company sells 1,800 balls or 18,000 balls or 24,000 balls in 2015. Okay, so we just simply put those numbers in and see 24,000 right there, and you can see that we're going to have a much smaller profit if the company only sells 18,000, and we'll have a much larger profit if they can sell 6,000 more balls, right? Soccer balls. Okay, now we're going to get in this idea of the operating leverage. Now, this is the formula that we're going to use. There's another formula that you can use that's in a book, and I'll let you read about that. But for this problem, we're going to use this formula where we're going to take sales minus a variable cost divided by sales minus a variable cost minus fixed cost. And you can see that as fixed cost, since this is in the denominator, as fixed cost becomes more and more a portion or a part of our, if the ratio to fixed cost to a variable cost is higher, then this is going to make the denominator smaller, which is going to make our leveraged ratio higher. So what we're really looking at here is how much of our cost is fixed cost and how much of our cost is variable cost, because typically fixed cost has to be financed either through a debt or equity. So if a company has more, has a larger ratio of fixed cost to a variable cost, their operating leverage is going to be higher, right? So you can see that going from 2015 to 2016, the operating leverage gets lower. Why is that? Well, if we go way back up here and look, we can see that fixed cost did not change. However, variable cost was higher in 2016 than it was in 2015. So the ratio of fixed cost to a variable cost changed. It's weighted here in 2016 heavier on the variable than the fixed, and that's why the degree of operating leverage went down lower, which we can interpret that as less risk. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to say, okay, if we increase sales by 10% in 2016, calculate the percentage increase in the earned income, in the earned earnings, I should say earnings before interest and tax. So I've got the formulas in here, so you just want to simply put your percentage you want right there. We're using this formula right here, and we get the answer of we need to the dollar amount would go up to 227,200 if we increase sales by 10%, and if we compare that to what we have before, EBIT. Let's go back up here, and it's much lower, right? I mean, where up here? Yes, so sorry, 192 here. in 2016, and with a 10% increase in sales, we would jump up to 200. Well, okay, let me just say this right. This is 192,000, and if our sales increase by 10%, it would increase up to 227,200. Okay, part H. Now we're going to calculate the degree of financial leverage, which is just looking at what our earned income, or our earned earnings, I should say, earnings before interest and tax, divided by our earnings before interest and tax minus our interest expense. So you can see that going from and this, but because of the numbers that we've already put in, this is going to just be here. Okay, so and we can see that if we look at this metric, that we're a slightly lower risk in 2016 than we were in 2015. Because if we look at this, if we look at our earnings before interest and tax and compare, we can see that it's going to go, it's higher in 2016, and our interest expenses are the same. So because we have more earnings and the same interest expense, our financial leverage for 2016 is going to be slightly lower. Okay, now calculate the percentage change in net income and the dollar amount of net income expected in 2016. That's done for you. Simply just put the formula in right here to calculate the percent change going from 2015 to 2016, and then this just comes from our net income way up here, right there, right? Okay. Okay, we're almost done here. So that's that, and then J. Calculate the degree of combined leverage, and that's just combining the leverage, combining of the operating leverage and the financial leverage just by multiplying them together, and we get this. So that's just looking at actually the degree of combined leverage. I've got financial leverage right there. Did I do that wrong? This should be combined. Wow, this should be combined. Sorry about that. This word right here should be, so in yours that's going to be wrong. So let's change that right now to combined. Okay, well, and that's that, right? Because here's your financial leverage right here, 1.33 and 1.26, and here is your combined right here. Okay. All right, now just a lot. Yeah, K. Last one. We want to put in. Okay, so we assume that the Soccer International raises its selling price and its sales revenues increases to 60. Sales revenue increases to 650,000, and then it's asking us what our net income is going to be. So this is our percent change in sales. This is our percentage change in net income. And our net income would go up to 120,000. So we can see that if we could compare that to the net income we had, which was 106, with a sales of 616,000, you can tell if you were the financial manager and your goal was to get to well, let's go way back down. Get to 120,000 in net income. You'd say, well, we'd have to have an increase in sales revenue up to 650,000, and then just to calculate what price you'd have to charge. And I'm kind of hurrying because I'm just about out of time because I've only got 15 minutes for this video. So I've pretty much taken up the whole time, but I think that covers your last and your final problem for Financial Management 2017. All right.